Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of the Ruckus with Alex Himes. Thank you for tuning in. In today's episode, we are doing an NBA All-Star Weekend reaction and analysis and what to expect going further. This is another NBA special episode, so buckle up, people. We got a lot to talk about, all right? This All-Star game was hosted in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Charlotte Hornets. Michael Jordan was in attendance, but you saw him for all of like 3 seconds at the beginning of the game, so that was kind of cool, I guess. And we also got a Guy Fieri sighting, and this should say something to you. If I'm bringing those two things up, and specifically Guy Fieri, then All-Star Weekend might have been a little bit lackluster. Okay, a little foreshadowing. It's the truth. This All-Star Weekend to me marked a lot of problems for the NBA. Sure, I like this new format. I like how Team LeBron and Team Giannis did a trade with Westbrook and Ben Simmons. Very cool. We all expected that Team LeBron would beat Team Giannis. I didn't expect them to go up like that in terms of Team Giannis getting the lead on LeBron like that for a while, but everything that we kind of expected happened. And by expected, I mean, I'm going to focus on one big part, and that is the dunk contest. What we expected was to have a great dunk contest. What we got was what we expected, though, in part, a boring dunk contest. And this has been brewing now for some years, okay? Now, let me start off by stating, if I, an NBA junkie and fan, look forward to All-Star Weekend, yet am more excited to watch the newest episode of DragonBall Super, which premieres at the same time as the dunk contest, that should say something. And on top of that, if I, the same dude, am more excited to watch the three-point contest than I am to watch the skills challenge, shout out to Jason Tatum for winning that, then the dunk contest, and also the game itself, that says a lot about what's going on with the NBA and what's going on. So my problem here lies within the dunk contest. Yes, I know we've had problems with the dunk contest for years now. When they changed that format to East-West style, whatever, and then going back to what they've done now, and really, the biggest problem is they don't have stars participating. Okay, I get it from the player's perspective. No LeBron, no Paul George, no Russell Westbrook wants to go in a dunk contest and lose on national television, period. But even more so, they don't want to go on national television and lose to a guy who's a third stringer on a team that you really haven't heard of. I mean, come on. Would you want to be the guy that loses to Jeremy Evans? Hell the hell no. I'm telling you that much. At least this dunk contest wasn't as boring as the 2012 one, which featured Chase Buttinger, Jeremy Evans, Derek Williams, and also Paul George back when he was PG-24. But still, this one was pretty bad. All right, we had Hamidou Diallo, we had DSJ, we had Collins and Bridges, and I got to tell you, that really was underwhelming for me. The only guy I really wanted to see was Dennis Smith Jr., but then I was blown away by the hops that Diallo had. Shout out to Big Blue Nation, Hamidou. But getting back to my point, the dunk contest is missing stars. The last time I was excited to watch a dunk contest was 2010 when LeBron decided to throw his hat in the ring. And what did he do? He backed out. And here we are. We haven't had a great and exciting dunk contest for years. For marketing purposes on the NBA aspect and for the player purposes, these guys need to be incentivized to join the dunk contest. Maybe give them more money, give them something. Get the stars involved. If you see a lineup like next year of Donovan Mitchell, Giannis Antetokounmpo, either Hamidou Diallo or Dennis Smith Jr., and maybe a guy like Paul George, that's going to get everyone's attention. Why? Because you have a guy who's a future MVP in Giannis. You have a young and upcoming star in Donovan Mitchell who's won the dunk contest. You have a guy either in Dennis Smith Jr. who's a high flyer, exciting, electrifying dunker, or the guy who just won in Hamidou Diallo. And then on top of that, you get Paul George back in the dunk contest, who ain't too shabby himself, having that reverse, like, spin around dunk that he did in the All-Star game. We need something like that. The problem occurring for the dunk contest right now is realistically what's going on with the NBA itself. The NBA has moved towards this three-point barrage style basketball where there's a major emphasis on the three-point shot. Everyone and their grandmother now has a three-point shot or tries to get a stroke to shoot the three-point shot because you have to have every facet of your game to play in today's offense, right? Well, that also translates into what's going on with the other assets in the actual All-Star Weekend. Look at the three-point contest. 5 out of the 10 participants were all-stars that were playing in the all-star game the following day. How many in the all-star game were actually going to participate in the dunk contest? Big fat 0. See a problem? Yeah, I do. The three-point contest was killer. Not only did I not expect Joe Harris to shoot lights out, I was actually going for one of the Curry brothers, and Seth actually. And yet, this guy just shot lights out. I was more excited to watch the three-point contest than I was to watch anything else. And that says a lot about the marketing aspect and the problem with the All-Star Games format now. Don't get me wrong. I'm cool with how they're doing the All-Star Game, even though it wasn't that exciting to begin with. It was mostly exciting towards the end of the game when Team LeBron was catching up. But come on, we can make the dunk contest great again, people. All we have to do is go out on social media, go on Twitter, go on Instagram, reach out to these stars, tell them that you want them in the dunk contest because they will want to do it just as much as you want them to. I would love to see the one that I gave you. I'd love to see Mitchell, Paul George, Dennis Smith or Diallo, and Giannis go up against each other next year in the dunk contest. Because this year we had a flat flyer and Collins go right into a wooden airplane. And come on, let's be real, people. That's been done before by Blake Griffin. That man didn't even go over a hood of a car and he set a standard on what you have to fly over. When another guy goes over a hood of a car, then we can talk and then we can change things. But let's be real. That was lackluster and there was nothing really that special in this dunk contest that got me motivated to watch it. I was more invested in watching the latest episode of DragonBall Super on my second monitor while I was watching the dunk contest on my other monitor. And that says something. I did not watch the episode at all when I was watching the three-point contest, but as soon as that was done, I literally turned to my left and I'm like, whoa, Goku's going Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God again? Man, this Tournament of Power is going to be a lot of fun. Come on. The dunk contest needs the big names. They need to be incentivized, not only for the fans, for the NBA, and for the players themselves. Let's get this great again. And now we got to talk about another person that was participating in the All-Star Weekend festivities, and that's the man who canceled out all these freaking speculations, destroyed the speculations made by the media, and that is Anthony Davis. All right. So, now I'm going to make something clear. I've been the guy from the get-go that said, never take anything anyone says for facts, right? Take it with a grain of salt, especially when it comes from the quote-unquote inside sources. When articles posted by ESPN say, father says what? Don't believe it. What am I talking about? Well, Anthony Davis, in an interview at All-Star Weekend, made it very clear that he never said that the Boston Celtics weren't on that list of favored teams. So let's backtrack a little bit. About a month ago, we're reaching the trade deadline. We're playing this game of where will Anthony Davis go today? Just like they play on the jump where they're doing the Hay Watch with Gordon Hayward. Now, here we are with Anthony Davis, and we're trying to figure out if he's going to end up on the Lakers or if he's actually just going to stay in New Orleans, or if the Toronto Raptors are going to make a sudden move and try to acquire him, or if he's just going to suddenly retire. We didn't know. But there we sat, and ESPN puts out an article talking about how Anthony Davis's father does not want him playing for the Celtics. And the exact quote says, "I would never want my son to play for Boston after what they'd done to Isaiah Thomas. No loyalty. God gives his heart and soul and they traded him. This is just my opinion, not Anthony's." Well, let's make one thing clear. That last bit, not Anthony's. The media took this and ran away with it, right? Because it was only later confirmed when Anthony Davis's quote-unquote preferred destination list was put out there, and it showed up with 4 teams: the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, and the Knicks. Let's just make one thing clear on a side note. Knicks, New York, you ain't getting AD, you ain't getting KD, you ain't getting much this year. But moving forward, this was all squashed. How? Well, during one of the interviews at All-Star Weekend, Anthony Davis said, "I never said Boston wasn't on my list." This should make one thing clear to everyone, that the Boston Celtics are legitimate contenders to land Anthony Davis, not just because they have the assets, but also because Anthony wants to play in Massachusetts, potentially. So one can infer this legitimately means that, the Celtics have a shot at landing him. And he has legitimate interest in playing there. But you know, let's just play the speculation game a little bit. I've said from the beginning of these Anthony Davis trade rumors back a couple of years ago when it was first speculated that Danny Ainge was doing all this draft stashing of assets, that they're waiting for the day that Anthony Davis finally has enough with New Orleans and says, yo, I'm done with Demps. I'm done with all these bad contracts. Get me out of here. Well, now we can talk about the Lakers. To be fair, the Lakers gave them a Godfather offer. They offered all their young assets, which contain potential future All-Stars. They offered them some contract relief, and they offered them a lot of draft picks. And sure, it's a good offer. I'm not denying it. But there's that old thing which I don't understand why teams really play by this, about how the Lakers are in the West and so are the New Orleans Pelicans, and they don't want to see them 4 times a year. Well, the Celtics then come in. We've all known that the Celtics have a hell of a lot to offer any team that wants to trade a disgruntled all-star and move forward and get a lot in return, of which is Jason Tatum. And this leads me to my big point. There is absolutely no universe where I will trade Jason Tatum, okay? No universe where I will trade Jason Tatum, period. Not for AD, not for KD, not for the entire Clippers organization. There's absolutely zero chance I will be trading Jason Tatum. That man will be a top 5 player in the NBA in the next couple of years. That man will have his number hanging in the rafters for the Celtics if they give him a shot to stay with the organization. He is a once-in-a-generation talent from that draft and will be a major cornerstone for the Celtics for years to come. And we should, if anything's very clear, Danny Ainge is very good at wheeling and dealing. And for the one time that he picked right, just stick with what you got and keep Jason Tatum. There are trade scenarios where you can trade for Anthony Davis without including Tatum. Let's go into those, shall we? All right. So a potential package that I thought of, now I'm just putting this out there, a potential sign and trade of Terry Rozier III, Jaylen Brown, who's still on his rookie deal, Al Horford or Gordon Hayward. Horford represents a quality big man who can, not entirely, but slightly fill in the void left by Davis as a big man and can be an integral part of a team's success. And he also just so happens to be on the last year of his contract, which gives the Pelicans a lot of cap relief going forward and money to spend, of which now they can spend properly instead of giving, I don't know, Omer Sheik a bad deal or that Solomon Hill deal again. Thankfully, they got rid of Demps, so they'll actually do well moving forward. And on top of that, they can offer 2 to 3 first-round picks. Mind you, those picks being a 2019 Memphis first-round pick, a 2019 Sacramento first-round pick, and they also own their own first-round pick and the Clippers first-round pick, right? Well, in total for me, that's a point guard who's arguably going to be a starter on half the teams in the league and has proven to be a major up-and-coming player, and that's in Terry Rozier. You have another offensive-minded and defensive stud to package with Rozier, and that's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is no joke on offense. We saw it last year in the playoffs when him, Terry Rozier, and Jason Tatum pushed LeBron James to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And on top of that, you're giving him either a savvy veteran to fill Davis's shoes slightly, like I said with Horford, while you're giving up money to spend relatively soon, or you're getting a potential leading scorer when healthy who's on the road to recovery in Gordon Hayward, and you're getting those 2 to 3 first-round picks, which, let's face it, those picks are going to be better than whatever picks the Lakers send them in return, which could potentially land anywhere between 9 through 23, that being the 9th pick, the 13th pick, and the 23rd pick as predicted right now online. So you're getting immediate relief for money in the future. You're getting quality future guards who've proven their value and picks galore that are actually very good picks that you could turn into great talent down the road. Oh, and not to mention Davis would also be in the Eastern Conference rather than the Western Conference like I brought up before, which that shouldn't be an issue for me. Boston does have the necessary pieces to land Anthony Davis, right? Without Jason Tatum. It's just we're going to figure out when and what it's going to take for the New Orleans Pelicans to move Anthony Davis and in particular to the Boston Celtics. We can play this game of going back and forth on phone tag and figuring out what you'll take without Tatum. But if they're going to trade Tatum, which I vehemently do not want them to do, Danny Ainge, if you are out there, please take my words for 1 second. You missed out on David West all those years ago when you had him supposedly signed and he went to Indiana and you were going to get Reggie Evans and the big three were going to have a great title run team again. You have your chance right here, right now to get Anthony Davis. I'm sure you can do it without Jason Tatum. So please heed my words. Keep Jason Tatum. That man is going to be the truth at one point. You heard it from me first. And if we are able to land Anthony Davis, there is no doubt in my mind that Kyrie Irving will re-sign with the Boston Celtics, and there has been no doubt in my mind that Kyrie Irving will leave the Boston Celtics. As I think of it, that Kyrie Irving will be with the Boston Celtics as long as the Boston Celtics want him, and I presume with where we're going in the future, we want him for the long haul. Boston does have the necessary pieces to play with, all right? And I just want to reiterate, never take insider info as a fact, all right? Take it with a grain of salt, because every time we go to the trade deadline, the only person that I will take for a fact is Adrian Wojnarowski, because that man has been doing it forever, and the man has his own term. There's a term referring to when he drops news. It's the Woj bomb. Come on, you can't deny that that's probably going to happen, or there's at least substance behind it. So people, don't be so easily to read into that stuff. And mind you, the Celtics might be getting Anthony Davis, right? But while the Celtics fans, I should say, are eagerly awaiting this offseason, the players' focus is on the immediate right now. And apparently a current Celtic feels like the immediate has a bright outcome. Fresh off of his Taco Bell Skills Challenge win where he hit that half-court shot, which, damn, that was just pretty. I mean, I didn't expect that. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I didn't expect it. Jason Tatum has got the chutzpah. Yes, the chutzpah. The man comes out while being interviewed by Rachel Nichols, whom said during that interview that Tatum that morning said he's going to win the Skills Challenge. So Rachel Nichols asks him, is there anything else you want to tell us? Jason Tatum, in that sly, calm, laughing demeanor of his, says, we're going to win the championship this year. Look at the Irish baby. Okay, bear with me for a second, all right? The Celtics are sitting at 4th in the Eastern Conference as of now. We're starting up again, playing against Milwaukee, going out of the All-Star break. Now, there are a couple things I want to note. Oladipo is now out for Indiana, and hopefully my prayers are with him. Hopefully he rests up easy and he comes back from that injury strong. The Indiana curse, man. Anyway, Indiana is now without Victor Oladipo, so they're sitting at 3rd, and I presume, and I think the rest of us can say, it's safe to say, they will slide in the playoff standings. So Boston at that point is tied right now with Philly. So Boston moves up to 3rd. Philly moves up to the 4th. I don't see Philadelphia being a big issue for the Celtics, and we'll go into this in a second, all right? But the Celtics have a true moment of value right now, okay? Going into the trade deadline, we expected all the teams to make moves. We even expected the Celtics to maybe retool, add a piece, or do something like they usually do. I mean, a couple of years ago, it surprised the heck out of me, but we landed Isaiah Thomas from Phoenix, and look at how that turned out. Very random move, and here we were. The Celtics did nothing. They stood pat, and that should say something. We'll get into that in a moment. What did everyone else in the East do? Philly, Milwaukee, and Toronto all made moves. Toronto added Gasol. Philly added the entire Clippers roster. The Bucks added Mirotic. Okay? What does that mean? Those teams are gearing up for the playoffs, and those teams are going to need time to adjust, especially with Toronto. I'm sorry, I have to admit it. Toronto adding a new big man who's an offensive-minded stud. I love Gasol's game. I don't like Toronto. Not that I don't like the Toronto Raptors. I do root for them. I don't like them because I don't like Kawhi Leonard, and I don't like them being on top of the East or in second. It's just me ranting for a second because everyone was hyped about them going into the season. But the Raptors now have to retool. They have to get ready. They have to get Nick Nurse to put Gasol into the system in the right way, just as Philadelphia has to get Harris and Marjanovic used to the system, right? And they also have to, in Milwaukee, get Mirotic used to the system. The Celtics are working inside out. They are getting Gordon Hayward healthy. Now, I'm going to bring this up, all right? Since the start of February, Gordon has been averaging 14.57 points per game. Not that amazing, but let's also note that since the Cavaliers game on the 5th, He scored 18 against the Cavs, 4 against the Lakers, 19 against the Clippers, 26 against Philly, and 18 against the Pistons. Okay? They've gone 3-2 with 3-2 in that time, mind you, without Kyrie Irving. Gordon might actually be starting to find his groove, and that should be a good sign for not only the Celtics fans, but the Celtics themselves, because we heard a couple months ago, actually I think it was after the Warriors-Celtics game, that Gordon Hayward is their biggest anchor. And if Gordon Hayward is starting to find his groove, this signals good news for the Boston Celtics. Why? Because now things are starting to move. The gears are all turning. What we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the season was a team that was going to dominate the Eastern Conference. I even fell for that one. But it's going to take time for these guys to get that, team cohesiveness, that Ubuntu, that stuff that Doc Rivers talked about so long ago, the team cohesion. And under Brad Stevens, who is not an offensive or defensive, he's just a coaching whiz. This guy can coach anybody, okay? And if these Celtics buy into what's going on, which it seems like they have, this is going to be a team that nobody wants to see in the playoffs. Let's be real. Philly can be taken down. Milwaukee can be taken down. Toronto can be taken down. The Celtics, to me, can be taken down, but they seem like they're the team that is the one wild card to face all those teams and go through them. I think the Celtics actually might move up in the standings to second by season's end. It's not far-fetched. They're the only team that didn't make major moves and add players who really need to be integrated into the offense. Not to mention Philadelphia really needs to work on that bench because they pretty much gave up everything to get a well-rounded starting five. The Milwaukee Bucks, I do not want to see Chris Middleton or Giannis anytime soon. Unfortunately, we're going to see them soon. But I am eager to face the Toronto Raptors to see how the Celtics go up against the Marc Gasol, the Raptors with Marc Gasol, right? The Celtics are perfecting, and by perfecting, I mean they are practicing. They are improving the current system that they've been utilizing for so long, and it's time to see what the Celtics have got. It's not so far-fetched, people, to see the Boston Celtics make some noise. I know I might be biased because I'm a fan, but think about it. The Celtics really do have a shot to make noise in these last couple of weeks or last month or so of games going into the playoffs. Don't be surprised if they move up and if they make some noise and if Hayward starts actually playing to not an all-star level, but a 15-point-per-game average off the bench, maybe looking like not this year, but a sixth-man of the year candidate down the road. And finally, I want to talk about the last thing that might make me a little sick. But here, I'm going to do it. And that is James Dolan and the New York Knicks. I'm a diehard New England sports fan, but I'm going to make it clear. And New England sports fans, listen up. The Knicks are screwed because they are being led at the helm by a man whose name is James Dolan. James Dolan, you are a cancer to the New York Knicks franchise. What have you done in your 20 seasons while with the Knicks? You've had 6 playoff appearances, 3 playoff series wins, and a lot of angry Knicks fans asking for you to leave or sell the damn team. Not only has it been a problem, you've also brought in bad people to be in charge. Isaiah Thomas, Steve Mills, Mike Woodson, although I give Mike Woodson credit. He did what he could. Mike D'Antoni and Glenn Grunwald. I could keep going on, but I think I'll spare the Knicks fans who watch this show some agony. The Knicks were last a decent team in 2012 when they were led by Melo, Amari, Chandler, and also Amon Shumpert when they took out my Celtics in the last effort by the Big Three in that first round playoff series, and they went to the conference semifinals. Here they sit. The Knicks will not land any future stars as long as James Dolan is at the helm. No KD, no AD, no nada. Y'all ain't getting nothing as long as James Dolan is there. No player wants to play under that man. And I think it's been made clear because they haven't been able to land anyone legitimate in years. They're lucky that Melo happened to be from there and wanted to be there and was able to draw in talent that wanted to play with him. Otherwise, they would have been in a dumpster fire for these last couple of years as well. It's astonishing to me to think that Celtics fans are truly enjoying this period. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching the Knicks lose as much as any other New England fan. But I'm tired of there not really being competition in the Atlantic Division. The Nets just moved to Brooklyn a couple of years ago, and they're already on a better trajectory in their future than the damn Knicks are. This is just freaking lunacy. I'm sorry. You just traded away Kristaps Porzingis, albeit the man didn't want to be there. You did what you could in terms of getting pieces to play around him, or I should say lack thereof did what you could. But this is just lunacy. The latest guys in the organization, I give them credit. They're making moves. We got to give them time to start actually implementing the things that they want to see implemented and bringing in the players that they want to bring in. But aside from that, James Dolan is a cancer to the New York Knicks organization, and it is baffling to me to think that this man somehow still retains ownership and that there have not been strikes on them. The Garden will always get filled with fans because it's the New York Knicks. They want to see them. This is the same James Dolan that sent that disgusting letter to that lifelong Knicks fan a couple of years ago and called him a probably alcoholic. Nothing was done to him when he did that, mind you. James Dolan, please sell the Knicks. Hopefully these reports came out because there's a reason of it, and it's not just an inside source putting it out there and praying that he gives in to what's said. I'm praying for you, Knicks fans. I know it's hard to believe. I'm praying for you. And, you know, I'm going to leave it at that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Ruckus with Alex Himes. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the social media channels at Himes World on Instagram, HYMESWORLD on Instagram, at Alexander Himes on Facebook, at Alexander Himes on YouTube, and at Alexander_Himes on Twitter. And also, I'm proud to announce we are now available on all major podcasting networks: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all those bad boys. Check out The Ruckus with Alex Himes on those podcast networks. I'll be putting up a couple of cool videos in the next week or so, people. Don't forget to tune in next week. Have a good one.
Money isn't real. Doesn't matter. It only seems like it does.